In this video, we're going to take a look at how to start designing our adventure game. It can seem kind of like a daunting task, but if you approach it a certain way, it's actually pretty straightforward. When I was a kid, I made these games over and over again, and I don't think I ever finished one of them, and that's because I didn't follow the steps or the methods that I'm going to show you in this video. So it is possible. The first thing you need to do is just figure out what kind of game you want to have. Is this like a game based in real life? Is it a swords and sorcery game? Is it a Harry Potter game? Is it set in a space station? Is it some sort of post-apocalyptic thing? You can pick anything you want, but you have to have some idea of like what kind of world is this story going to take place in. And then once you have that, then you have to sort of figure out, okay, how does the player win this game? This is the most important thing, is that you want to start from the end and figure out how the player is going to win the game and then work backwards. Otherwise, it's just the game kind of it just bogs down and you never actually finish it. So you want to figure out before you do anything else, like, okay, it's going to be a space game. What is the player supposed to do? Are they supposed to recover something from a wrecked spaceship? Are they supposed to escape from a space station that's about to crash or fall out of orbit or something like that? Is this a find the treasures kind of game? Is this an escape game? Is this a steal something kind of game? What's the goal of the game? How does the player win the game? And there's a couple of plots that sort of pop up over and over again. The most common early plot was the treasure hunt. All like the adventure was like this, Zork was like this. So there's 21 treasures scattered around this big world, and you have to solve puzzles to find all of them. This happens. Oh, there's so many games have this, so many plots, or there's so many games that have this plot. You have to find the 3 pieces of the missing artifact. The tablets were broken into 5 pieces and scattered throughout the land, something like that. So you've got to find the treasures, and then usually that could be all you do. As soon as you found all the treasures, you've won. Or maybe you have to bring them back and put them on an altar or give them to the king or something like that. You have to find the 3 things that were stolen and bring them back to the king or something. And then once that happens, then you become the new king or queen or ruler. So the treasure hunt, very, very common plot. Another common plot is just get somewhere, escape. So the Titanic is sinking. You have to get off the Titanic. You've been imprisoned. You've been locked up in the dungeon of a castle, but the guards are asleep, and now you have now you have a chance to escape. Or you're playing Crashes in the Jungle, and you've got to figure out some puzzles, get to the top of the mountain with the little mirror, signal the plane, fire the flare gun, whatever, and get rescued. Or maybe you have to steal some plans and then get to the chopper. I should insert the Arnold Schwarzenegger sound effect there. But the trick is you win the game by getting to a certain location. You get the lifeboat, the escape pod, the top of the mountain, the helicopter. The act of getting somewhere is what triggers the game over message. That's how you win the game, by being somewhere. And then there's kind of combinations of that. Maybe you have to get to the escape pod, but then push the button to finally launch the escape pod. Or you're playing Crashes in the Jungle. You have to get to the mountaintop, then use the signal mirror or fire the flare gun. So get somewhere and then do something. Take the stolen blueprints, get to the helicopter pad, then use the radio or fire the flare gun to signal for a rescue or something like that. The Heinlein Station game was kind of like that. You've been marooned, figure out how to fix the radio, then use the radio, and you'll be rescued. So those are some common plots. Other plots are certainly possible, and plots can turn into other plots. Right? Another, destroy the dangerous things. Like throw the ring into Mount Doom, destroy the Death Star, plant the bomb to blow up the Death Star and then escape. So there's these plots can be combined in different ways, but there's really just a bunch of plots that just get recycled over and over again. All right. Once you have an idea of how does the player win, now you kind of have to make this backwards obstacle course that the player is going to have to navigate to get to that end state. You're going to put obstacles or barriers or puzzles between the player and the end state of the game. Now, these adventure games are sort of puzzles and exploration. We don't want to have an army of zombies that you have to defeat. These games are not about combat. It's okay to have an NPC and have a little bit of combat, one NPC that you have to defeat somehow, but we're not going to have 35 zombies and you have to kill all of them, and then once you've done that, you've won. These are not first-person shooters. So, what sort of thing does a player have to do? Typically, there's a bunch of tropes that pop up over and over again. So maybe you have to fix something, sneak past NPCs, defeat NPCs, puzzle solving. Like we had to figure out how to get past the dog using the sausages. So let's take a closer look at some of these types of puzzles that pop up over and over and over again that you should just feel free to plunder and use in your games freely. Don't worry if it's been done before. Everything's been done before. So let's look at some kind of this idea that we're going to take the end goal and then make a backwards obstacle course. So we're going to say, okay, to win the game, the player needs to get to the escape pod and then push the launch button. Okay, so what can we do to make it hard for the player to do that, to make the game challenging? Okay, well, there's a decompressed area of the ship that they can't cross until they've put on a spacesuit. And then we put the spacesuit in a cargo hold, but that cargo hold is locked. There's a key code. And maybe that cargo hold is guarded by a robot. So how do we get past the robot? Well, we shoot it with the laser pistol. Okay, so then where do we can put the laser pistol somewhere in the armory, and maybe that's where the key code is. Or the key code is in the captain's quarters, so which is what I wrote here. So the idea is, okay, the player's got to get to the escape pod and push the button, but then we're going to make it difficult. We're going to throw barriers between how the game starts and how the game's going to end, and that's what the player's going to do. That's the gameplay. So we've built a backwards obstacle course here where you kind of need one thing to do other things. So that's how this works. Think of it as you're going to make a backwards obstacle course that the player's then going to run through forwards. All right, so let's take a look at some of these tasks, these things that we put in our game to make them to make them challenging, things that the player is going to actually do. Typically, every game has got keys, key cards, or access codes. Every game's got them, but they're not really puzzles like find the key, unlock the door. It's barely a puzzle, although we'll talk about it more, but don't add more than one key code or key puzzle to your game. They're just not really that interesting. And the really most boring game I ever played was, okay, go to this office, find the key, unlock that door. Wow, in that office there was another key, and then I can use that key to unlock this door. Then I go there, and then in that office there was another key, and then finally I get the key, and now I can escape. Keys are boring. Like they're okay, but don't add more than one. Don't add more than one. So finding a key card access code, stuff like that. Using tools, you got to find the wrench to turn a bolt. What happens when you turn the bolt? I don't know. Maybe a door opens, some lights go on. Could be anything. Maybe a radio antenna goes up, and now you can transmit a message. So you've got maybe a dam door opens or something, and now the water all pours out. You need a screwdriver to open something, a sledgehammer to break something, duct tape to fix a leak, a boot disk for a computer, or a USB disk for a computer. So fixing things, opening things, unlocking things, fixing things, right? So using tools, basically using tools. I need the glue to fix something, right? I need the tape to fix something. I need the screwdriver. I need the wrench. I need the welding torch. So using tools. Protective clothing, also very, very common. So here's some examples of protective clothing puzzles. So there's a reactor room, right? If you enter it, you need to have the radiation suit on. Maybe there's a cave with a fire-breathing dragon. If you want to survive in that cave, you have to wear armor. Rubber gloves to pick up the poisonous mushroom. Scuba suit to go underwater. Space suit to go outside the space station. Gas mask to enter the halon-filled computer room. Or a cloak of invisibility to get past the goblins or Peeves or something from Harry Potter. So you need the protective clothing to be able to do something. And what happens if you don't have the protective clothing? Well, typically the game will kill you. That's fine, right? So that's okay. It's okay to kill the player. Just be fair about it. Like, make sure that the player would, if the player does something stupid, it's okay to kill them, but don't kill the player needlessly. So protective clothing puzzles, very, very common. Disguises. You can think of a disguise as a kind of protective clothing. Put on the lab coat to get past a security guard. Wear the general's uniform to enter the staff room. Maybe you plant a bomb once you're there. You drop a briefcase with a bomb in it. Use the stolen ID card to get past a security guard. And these can be funny too. Put a mop on your head to look like a rock star. Wear the Barney suit to get past the T-Rex. So disguises, putting on clothing, is another common puzzle structure. Typically, it's used to get past NPCs. Other things, NPCs, like we had the dog. You had to feed the dog, pet the dog, throw a ball for the dog. But you could have something like play a violin to make the lion go to sleep. Somebody did that one year. That was a really cool puzzle. There's a pirate. Give him the jug of rum, he'll drink it and fall asleep, right? So NPC, it's ways to get past NPCs, right? So we don't usually have NPCs for the sake of combat. We have NPCs as gatekeepers, or maybe the pirate falls asleep, and when he falls asleep, a key falls out of his pocket, or now you can search him and get the key, or he's got a key around his neck, and there's no way you're going to get it until you've incapacitated the pirate. Something like that. What else have we got? Light source puzzles, very, very common. You need the brass lantern to go in the caves. You need the torch. You need a flashlight. But it's not. Maybe it's a light. It's not. Doesn't have to be a light source you carry around. You could push a button and it turns on the lights somewhere else, right? And that way you're forcing the player to explore. Maybe there's a flashlight, but it needs batteries, and you have to put the batteries in a desk somewhere. And maybe that desk is in a locked office, and you have to find the key or something. Don't just leave keys lying around. Hide them somewhere. What else? Okay, so let's look at what a game plot might look like. So our kind of game idea is that there's some sort of creature loose in Hogwarts. We need to find the lantern to get the key from Dumbledore's office to go to the storage room in the basement of Hogwarts. We're going to use the key to unlock the door, get the cloak of invisibility, sneak past the basilisk, get our wand, and then we can go back and cast some spell on the basilisk. So that's the game from the experience of the player going forward. Going the other way, it's okay, hang on, there's a basilisk loose in Hogwarts. Okay, we need a wand to defeat it. But the wand is locked in a storage room in the basement of Hogwarts, and that's guarded by Peeves or something. So we need the cloak of invisibility to get past Peeves, and we need the key to open the door. But we can't even, in order to go down into that dark area anyway, we're going to have to find a lantern. So what you're trying to do, again, is build this backwards obstacle course. Here's our concept. Our space freighter's been attacked by pirates. Player needs to find and put on the radiation suit to enter the reactor room where there's a laser pistol. Okay, then go to the shuttle bay, shoot the alien pirate, then enter an escape code, right? So, enter the escape pod and push the launch button. So that's that. Again, that's kind of it going forward. But what it is, backwards, it's okay, the player has to get in the escape pod and push the button, but the pod is guarded by the pirate, which is in the shuttle bay. And so we have to defeat the pirate with the laser gun, but the laser gun's in the reactor room, and we need the radiation suit to enter the reactor room. So we've built this kind of chain of this dependency chain of puzzles. So there's our obstacle course. Spy mission: infiltrate the enemy lab, steal the blueprints, plant a bomb. That's kind of our big idea. The player needs to get the guard's uniform to enter the lab, plant a bomb in the radio room, put on the scientist's coat, enter the lab, take the blueprints, put the guard's uniform back on, and leave through the front gate and get to the helicopter pad. So there's an example of kind of a spy game, spy mission. So it's get to the helicopter. Basically, this is plant the bomb, get to the helicopter pad, except that there's guards and we need the uniforms to sneak past the guards. So what we're doing is building that backwards obstacle course again. Okay. All right. So I could keep going on with these. These are all kind of the same. You know, you need to take the torch in a maze of caverns, find the ring, sneak past the goblins. Okay, so we're going to put treasures in a series of caves. Each one of those treasures is going to be guarded by something, and we'll need some way to get past the people, past those barriers. Maybe we have to bribe them. Maybe we have to give them something they want. Maybe we give them, you know, the jug of grog and they fall asleep. Maybe we defeat them in combat. You know, we chop their heads off with a sword. Maybe we wear a cloak or a ring that makes us invisible. Now, in a game like this, it doesn't matter what object or what order you find the treasures in. You can find them in any order, right? It's not on rails. Okay, all right, and then we'll stop the video there. Once you've got this once you've got this obstacle course, then the next thing we're going to do is turn this into a series of commands that the player is going to type. We're going to turn that eventually into code. So the idea here is pick a genre, figure out a goal for the player, and then figure out the obstacles that the player is going to have to navigate through in order to reach that winning state of the game. So that's how this works. The trick is to start at the end and work backwards. Don't just say, I'm going to have some game and then I'm going to add some puzzles, because what you want to do is have your game, have the player be able to win, and then you can start your game off that way, and then you can insert the obstacles into your game and make your game progressively more complicated. But your game will always be playable all the way till the end. And that way, when you get to the end, you're going to have a game that actually works. So there it is. That's how to make your design your game, figure out that genre, pick that end goal, make that backwards obstacle course using those types of puzzles that I showed you in the slides, and that's about it. But if you have any questions on how to do this, it can be confusing. Ask us for help. We'll give you ideas. You can ask your neighbors, how would you do this? I want to have a dragon. I want to have a triceratops. What kind of puzzle? How would I get past that? Ask somebody. Ask for help. You get a lot of ideas just by talking to people. So that's it. If you need help with this, just ask. We'll be happy to help you. Once you've got having this kind of idea, this obstacle course in place is the key. It's the roadmap. You need to have this in place if you want your adventure game to be solid. So it's important that it works. All right. If you need help, just ask us. We'll be happy to help you.